Well, I'm trying to walk.
Ready?
Thank you.
All right, we'll call to
Appreciate it.
order the public safety.
Take care of your back.
Meeting this evening at 6:45 p.m. Present are committee members Williamson, Madden, and Glassburn. Our directors of law, finance, human resources, safety, service, recreation, and special assistance mayor and guests. We have 4 items on the agenda this evening. The first being 2023-137. It's the TAG service fire contract. The next one is 2023-138, which is the TAG service police contract. Director, do you want to just address these two together? Because I know they're renewals.
Yes, these are just the standard 1-year renewal maintenance contracts for TAC, which is a local company that provides our public safety software system. So this is just for our mobile data terminals, messaging, GPS mapping support, lead support, quickly server, CAD services, all of that. They're very standard renewal contracts. They both saw very tiny, $100,000 increase from last year or this year. So they'll just be good to go for beginning of the year.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any questions from the committee?
I had one question about on the service hour charge outside of the normal work week hours. It's Article 3, both contracts.
Okay.
Understand the higher one is $100 per hour outside of the regular business hours, and the police one was $150 an hour.
Because police has dispatch, so it's just a lot more complicated to do their work than it is for fire. So we charge more for it.
And that's the same as the current contract.
Yeah, there's no change in that.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And maybe Mr. Redden asked this question, I didn't, or maybe it was the trail end, but one of these has only a software and one has a hardware and a software. Are they supposed to have both? Each one of them, police and fire? The police has a software and hardware. And the hardware is at $100 per hour, and then the software is that software is $150 on that one, and then the fire has just the software.
Well,
I just want to make sure we're not missing a piece.
No, these are standard repeat contracts. Most of the hardware is over with police. They're slightly different service needs between fire and police.
Okay, and do they only do them, I'm sorry, Madam Chair. Do they only do them for 1 year at a time? And this is the equipment, do we own it or do we lease it?
TAC is software and hardware. It's the hardware,
Well, the hardware
what we already
part.
have. Yeah,
So that's ours.
that's ours.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, then I will make a motion to recommend approval of resolution 2023-137 to all council members for second. Motion made and seconded by Councilman Yen. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes with a vote of 3-0 on that one. And then for resolution 2023-138, which is the TAN contract for the police department, I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval to all council. Ask for a second. Seconded by Councilman Yen. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes with a vote of 3-0. The next item on the agenda is 2023-139, which is a resolution authorizing the Director of Public Safety to advertise for bids for the award of contract to provide fire prevention services as detailed in the specifications on file, and authorizing the mayor knowing approval of the board of control to contract with the same with the lowest and best bidder and to plan an emergency. Director.
Yes, this is a very similar approach to what you've seen from the service director. Late has submitted similar requests. This is consolidating what we have now are multiple fire prevention service and maintenance vendors and contracts. Each department or division has set up their own contract for things like checking fire alarm systems and replacing fire extinguishers and those types of things, or inspecting ovens and hoods and that. So what we want to do is consolidate that into just one contract for citywide agencies. It would run through my office. The Fire Prevention Bureau has already inventoried each city facility and has a list of what they have. And the last time it was inspected and who their vendor was. So all of those specifications sit over with the Fire Prevention Bureau. I worked with the Assistant Finance Director who looked back at the last couple of years to try to estimate what this contract might look like. And it looks like we've been spending around $30,000 a year for these small in and out maintenance, repairs, and checks or inspections. So I'm guessing this might be somewhere around $35,000.
For buildings?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Then I'd like to make a motion at this time to recommend approval of resolution 2023-139 to all council and ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Hinton, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes with a vote of 3-0. And the last item on the agenda is ordinance number 2023-141, which is an ordinance establishing a new chapter 767 of the Business Regulation Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of North Olmsted entitled Sale of Cannabis and declaring an emergency. Anyone? Here to share.
So, as you all know, issue 2 passed on November 7th, creating a new chapter 378025 of the code, revised code, which will specifically deal with two facets. One is the personal, individual plants, 6 plants up to no more than 12 adult use in a home, which is completely separate from what we're regulating here. And then the other part of it dealt with the commercial sale of it, cannabis products throughout North Olmsted. Those particular, and it's the definition section, I'll have to forgive me because it's quite lengthy, because each word tends to incorporate 3 or 4 other, each definition incorporates 3 or 4 other definitions, so I just said, forget it, I'll just put them all in there, and some of you need, some of you don't, because I don't need anything else. So, what I went ahead and did is drafted, instead of doing some sort of a temporary stay or something, some sort of a pause or a prohibition on a temporary basis while we study this, I went ahead and just crafted a new 767 dealing with sale of cannabis, which is it's more than that. So the part that matters the most is 76702, which specifically under the revised code, the cities do have the choice to opt out, to prohibit the dispensaries, the cultivation, to prohibit the commercial side of it within their city. That's an option that was made available in the code. So what we are doing is we are exercising that option here by saying we're really not interested in it. Now there are, we don't have medical use currently. If there were medical dispensaries, there are exceptions that they can expand and they can do other things. We don't have them. So when you see in here that it's prohibited, we don't have any in here right now under the medical. So there's no possibility the medical can expand into dispensing or doing any other type of cultivating, anything like that. We don't have it, so we don't have to worry about that. So I just did a flat out prohibition under that section 76702. So adult use cannabis operators are prohibited within the city of North Olmsted. Adult use cannabis operators is a level 1 adult use cultivator, level 2 adult use cultivator, level 3 adult use cultivator, an adult use processor, and an adult use dispensary. That's all of it. You can go back and look up all those different level dispensary, the level of cultivators, but it pretty much prohibits cultivation and dispensing within the city of North Olmsted. As our right would be under that section. You could choose to allow them, you could choose to limit them, or you could choose to prohibit them, and the mayor administration discussed it, just said we'd rather use the prohibition, and just come that out. So that's what we presented to you. it then further provides, that we're not gonna have any certificates of occupancy or permits or anything like that would be kind of anybody who's trying to do it, and that's prohibited too. And just flat out prohibit what those cannabis operators do in the city, which covers dispensaries, which covers sale, and everything in between.
Thank you, Director. So are the medical dispensaries going to be handling the recreational portion of this? You know, is it like a one-stop shop? I don't,
There's some overlap there.
but the recreational facilities won't stand alone.
I didn't dig that deep into the side of it, because you were prohibiting it entirely, we
Right.
don't have any medical, so I didn't take it's an 80 page, I went through
Didn't
part of it, but.
read through it?
I didn't weed through it.
That's cute.
That's great. Well played, well played.
Thank you.
I'm
Only once in a while,
trying to think of one to come back to.
Yeah, burned down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any questions from anybody for it? Wait for it.
So, I understand every ordinance that we pass can be repealed, but are we, if we were looking at to do more of the moratorium or a time period, how would that differ in the approach as opposed to how you've done this?
The moratorium contemplates that we would take the time to do some sort of a analysis or study to determine what direction we would take. It gives us that option. I guess we would take the time to determine whether we were going to do a prohibition versus allowing 1, 2, 5, 10, somewhere in between adult use cannabis operators in the homestead. The mayor was pretty confident that this was the position that she thought the administration would take, was just to flat out prohibit it. So this does the end act without doing a moratorium where we would perhaps study it or bring somebody in to talk about it. This is just kind of it's a right that's given to us, and we thought it was the mayor advocated that. We've had this issue with other lesser drugs being sold all throughout North Homestead, and kind of a headache it can be at times, the unregulated Delta 8s and Delta 9s and Kratom and everything in between. So this being kind of a big brother to all of those, we figured we just go ahead and request that we go ahead and just instead of doing more time, just flat out go to the end game, which is what this says.
Madam Chair. So, as Michael said, when this came up, what I think a lot of us had dealt with on council for a long time here in North Olmsted, years and a decade or so, are some of our older storefronts have trouble filling with small business owners perhaps, and what we find is that then the bottom of the barrel, so to speak, then comes into North Olmsted, and we then spend years trying to figure out zoning or trying to limit, where some of these operators operate. And I think what we went through the past few years with the moratorium and trying to figure out some of these newer types of drugs with vapes, these are all things that our community is being exposed to, including our children. So I know Councilwoman Williamson specifically has mentioned many times storefronts and things that are being advertised there. I guess our position is just that we already know that that's not the direction that our community is going. This is just for sale. We're not talking about going into people's homes at all. That is regulated by the state, not by the city. But this is what we could do to protect the image that North Olmsted has.
Thank you, Mayor.
Director Grove, perhaps I missed it in your answer, but what do people who do have medical needs, where they purchase that? Are they supposed to purchase it from out of state or?
It's outside. There are cities, I think Parma Heights allows it. There are other cities around here that authorize and permit the dispensaries for medical marijuana, which is not one of them. But there are other communities around here that do And one, like, we kind of wonder what's gonna happen to that industry now anyways, in terms of medical marijuana and what you have to go through to get it, depending, and again, I'm no marijuana expert here, but versus individual cultivation and use versus, actually, being able to go to some shop that sells it without needing a prescription. You start to wonder what happens to the medical marijuana side. I don't know, and I'm sure there's some study out there that talks about what they're gonna do with it. One would wonder what kind of impact that would have, because there's a lot of taxes, there's a lot of regulation, there's a lot of regulation here too, but it's hard to get, right? If you're trying to get harder, if you get it for recreational use, so.
The medical marijuana side we say, because it's, regulated and formulated for specific uses, the recreational portion won't have the potency
Got it.
that the medical side is. I know someone who works in this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.